Merhabalar herkese, hepiniz IEFT Talks seminerlerine hoş geldiniz. Bugün İrlanda'da Uluslararası Akredite İşletme Okulu ile Technological University Dublin'den Colin, Sarah ve Lorraine bizlerle olacak. Lütfen sorularınızı sağ alt köşede Questions bölümünden sormayı unutmayın. Yes, Colin, the stage is yours now.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Colin Hughes, and I'm head of the Graduate Business School here at TU Dublin. And you're very welcome to today's briefing on postgraduate business programs. So, as I say, I lead our graduate business school, and my colleague, Dr. Lorraine Sweeney, is works with me and the leadership team in the school. And she joins us today. And again, please feel free to, as I go, to pop any questions that you might have in the chat, and we'll answer them as we go. And then we will obviously leave some time for Q&A at the end. So just briefly, I suppose, just to give you a little bit of background to TU Dublin. TU Dublin is a new university in the Irish landscape, but we have a rich heritage dating back to the late 1800s. So we've just reformed as a new type of technological university. And really, our whole ethos is about really a connected type of education that's really innovative and really prepares people for an exciting future in business and in wider society. And we have a large international student cohort amongst our 30,000 students that we have within the university. And we offer programs not just across Ireland, but also right across the world, working with a number of exciting organizations. And I'll tell you a little bit about that shortly. But I suppose just to say, in terms of the TU Dublin's mission and our vision and values, we've created an exciting new strategy that's based around the Sustainable Development Goals. Our vision is to create a better world together, but we do that through providing excellence in education, inclusion, and impact, and having this really strong educational offering with connection to industry and society at the very heart of what we do. So it's a really great place to study, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. So we're based in Dublin, Ireland, and the two campuses, we have 5 different campuses within TU Dublin, but the 2 campuses that offer business programs are Ainger Street, which is in Dublin city centre, and Blanchardstown, which is in the suburbs of Dublin. Now, the majority of our programs are offered in Ainger Street, and particularly our full-time suite of programs are offered in Ainger Street in Dublin city centre. But we're going through an exciting development in TU Dublin, and I just thought I'd mention this. So we are developing currently a brand new state-of-the-art campus in the centre of Dublin City. You can see at the bottom of this image a river with loads of bridges over it. That's the River Liffey. That's Dublin city centre. And this big campus that you can see that's being developed, we currently have 10,000 of our students there in 2 gorgeous new quads and a bunch of other older refurbished buildings. And again, anyone that studies with us in business this year, we will be doing, hosting events and so on the new campus. But that's only about a 20-minute walk from our Ainger Street campus. And we will move there to a lovely new purpose-built building in 2025. So just a little bit about the Graduate Business School. So we have over 1,000 students, postgraduate business students, spread across some 40 programs. We offer a very career-focused, engaged learning model. We're globally focused. That figure is actually 35% now of our full-time postgraduate students are actually international. And we would have a lot of obviously undergraduate students and research students and so on, as well as that. We're a multi-award winning school. We are recognized as Ireland's leading postgraduate business provider by our Chambers Industry Network in 2020. And we also are internationally accredited with our AMBA accreditation, placing us in the top 2% of global business schools. We also are a UN Prime school, and we have a bunch of other accolades and awards. So when I talk about us being connected and engaged, we work with over 1,000 organizations each year, from SMEs all the way up to multinationals, to these global companies. And one key area of activity for us is executive education. So we provide customized programs for all of these organizations and many more. Some of them are Irish organizations, representative bodies that you might not recognize, but some of them in the middle in particular you will recognize. So global giants, particularly in the areas of technology, business process outsourcing, pharmaceuticals, and so on. And I think the reason I mention that is because we're so connected with industry, that means we bring a lot of guest speakers from these organizations. We bring a lot of really exciting live projects for our postgraduate students to work on. And we also engage quite strongly in terms of career opportunities with these employers. We have a range of full-time postgraduate business programs to cater for people coming from business undergraduate degrees, people coming from non-business undergraduate degrees, or people who've done a kind of a combination 50% business with 50% something else. So we have a nice range within our portfolio. And again, we can come to that towards the end, and I'll give you information on our website and so on. And Lorraine joins me to answer any particular questions you might have about any of these programs. So why the Graduate Business School, and why do I think you should be interested in considering the Graduate Business School? Firstly, I'd say our connected ethos and focus. So we offer a highly connected learning environment. So you'll see from some of these images here that our students visit companies, we engage in a whole range of kind of interesting competitions against other universities and business schools, and are very successful in that regard. We have an expert seminar series that I'll tell you about, regular guest speakers, company visits, and so on. So it's really connected and close to the needs of industry, and that's reflected in the design of all of our programs as well. This gives you a sample of some of the postgraduate engaged projects that we do. So an annual project that we run with Microsoft, where we work with SMEs, with small and medium enterprises, to actually look at digital advertising campaigns. Sales and marketing projects with LearnUpon, who are an educational LMS platform. Strategic sales project with Dell. Primark, are a bunch of our MSc fashion buying students actually present to the board of Primark every year, to the senior management team in Primark, on a live brief that changes from year to year. So a number of years ago, that would have been Primark looking for advice on how they enter the US market, for instance, and our students would have worked on that and presented to the board of Primark. So really engaging type of educational model. Obviously, all of our programs carry the full accreditations and awards. I mentioned AMBA, but we also have Ed Universal. And then depending on the type of program, whether it's an accounting program or a HR program or a logistics program, all of our programs then are recognized by the various professional bodies. The second point I'd make, apart from our highly applied and connected ethos, is the nature of the learning environment. TU Dublin is a really nice place to study. It's a very supportive learning environment. We teach in relatively small classes, so it wouldn't be uncommon to be in a group of 20 at postgraduate level for most of your courses. And then for some of your electives, you can choose to join larger groups and come together in a variety of ways for things like expert seminars and so on, so that you can engage with the wider network on the programs. But again, those smaller class discussions allow for a really different type of learning environment, where you learn a lot from each other, as well as from the expert faculty and the expert external guest speakers that we bring in. We have a highly diverse learning environment, as I mentioned, with 35% of our full-time postgraduate students are international, and even with those that we would classify as being Irish registrations, again, they're quite diverse in terms of their background, nationalities, original nationalities, their working backgrounds, their educational backgrounds, and so on. I mentioned an expert seminar series. Lorraine leads this series that's on the call with us. This is an example of one pillar of it, which is an emerging technologies and digital transformation series, where we bring in speakers to talk about everything from big data and analytics to immersive technologies and AR, VR, and we have a special lab for that, to blockchain, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things and 5G, and digital transformation. So that's an example of a wider series that we talk about. We have brilliant speakers to come in to talk about sustainability leadership, global leadership and cultural intelligence, fintech, and a whole bunch of other kind of exciting areas. We also are quite close to our career development center. We have an award-winning career development center, and we work with them to ensure that our graduates have the best possible opportunities in the marketplace. And here's an example of one award-winning initiative that was run this year. And I know this is quite small, but you'll just see one aspect of that, which was a Love Your Career Week that we ran during Valentine's Week. And a special session as part of that week was to help international students actually find jobs and prepare their CVs and so on. So a lot of support in that regard. And then outside of the academic environment, we have a huge amount of sports and leisure clubs. So we've over 40 sports clubs and a huge number of different types of societies. That is a great way, again, for international students to network with each other and also with Irish students, and to really kind of make the most of your time in Ireland. And lastly, the third reason for studying with the Graduate Business School is the success of our graduates. So Dublin as a location is a really attractive, it's a really dynamic city, and it's home to many of the world's leading organizations. So we have specialisms and clusters in all of these areas that you can see here. But two that I'll call out as being particularly of interest is Ireland is home to the top 5 global software companies, 5 of the top 10 companies on Forbes' list of the world's most innovative companies, and it's home to 9 of the world's top pharmaceutical companies. We also have big industries in international financial services, aircraft leasing, insurance, and so on. So it's a really, really strong employment market for our graduates. And there is, and Sarah can mention this, a stay back visa opportunity as well, where people, where necessary, can kind of avail of additional visas. And where do our students go? Well, they go everywhere. They work for leading Irish and international organizations. I've just included some of the names there of organizations that you'll be familiar with. But again, it's a very strong employment market in Ireland, particularly at the moment. And you will see from the testimonials on our website and from these ones here, we're currently updating our website, that really the graduates talk about how TU Dublin has helped shape their career, how it's given them this holistic focus to help them work in, whether it's Google or City or CPL or whatever it might be. And they talk about that highly supportive learning environment. And what we're doing at the moment is gathering more and more insights from our international graduates, but you'll see just a fraction of them here talking about, again, the positive experience they've had and the roles they've landed in HubSpot or TikTok or different organizations that have strong operations here in Dublin. So our TU Dublin website is just being updated at the moment, but again, you'll see some changes in that in recent weeks. But what we have there is a whole list of our postgraduate business programs, information about our expert seminar series, and other information. And what we're going to host soon is another open day just for people to meet with the program directors to talk about particular queries they have on programs. But again, there is a lot of alumni kind of testimonials, graduate testimonials on our website, and they give you a sense of their experience and how, I suppose, transformational their experience has been studying in TU Dublin and what that has led to in terms of their own career development. So they're well worth a watch, and you'll find them on each of the individual program pages. Here are my contact details. Now I'm gonna unshare and go to Q&A. But if anyone would like to connect with me on LinkedIn or send me an email if you do have particular queries, and then again after today, and then again we're going to host a follow-up open day as well, which again we can share information with you on. So that's all for me for now. I'm going to stop sharing and go to the Q&A, because I can hear some pops in the background, so I know we do have questions. So hopefully I have stopped sharing there. I'm still seeing my screen, but Sarah, you might, there we go. Okay, so hopefully you found that useful in terms of a background to TU Dublin. And I'm just going to open up the chat here just to see if we have any questions.
So it doesn't look like we have questions, which just means you covered everything. But I have a few things just coming from an international point of view. just to go over the fees for international students. So the fees for bachelors are typically €13,500, and the fee for masters is typically €14,500. And you can pay that in a few installments. So we're very aware of different economic situations, and you guys in Turkey as well. So we've had students last year actually pay in 3 installments. So it's 50% of your fees in order to secure your place and be able to apply for the visa. And then you can break up the remaining 50%, and you can pay by the end of January and then again by the end of May. So just to give you a bit of, make it life a bit easier for you. Also, the graduation visa was mentioned as well. And you can actually work in Ireland when you're on a stamp 2 study visa. You can work 20 hours a week. So 20 hours a week when you're in college, and then any break that you've gotten. So any Easter break, Christmas, reading week, you can work 40 hours. So if you get a really nice employer, you'll be grand, hopefully. And accommodation as well is a pretty popular question that I've gotten. So accommodation, we look after, TU Dublin has like 28,500 students. So we have a massive accommodation department because we have to help a lot of students. So for international as well, we have so many options for you guys. So what we've done is, as you've seen Colin mentioned, we have 5 different locations around Dublin City. So we have block booked apartments in other accommodation providers. So when you apply, you'll know if you're applying for a business program, you know exactly where you are. So you can contact the accommodations office and they can let you know what's within walking distance. If it's not within your budget, we can help you find something else. And then another nice thing that's coming back after the pandemic is host families. So that's a nice option, that if you're coming to a brand new country and you can stay with a host family for a few weeks, decide it between yourselves, and then just, it's a nice way to kind of figure out where you are in the city and just kind of get tips from a nice Irish family as well. So I just wanted to mention all of that. I think we actually have questions now.
Yeah, I think we do. So as Sarah said there, most of the international fees vary, but most of them, all of our fees are listed on our TU Dublin website. And again, if anyone has any particular questions around that, do let us know. So do you have any social student clubs? So yeah, so I covered that hopefully in the slides. So we've over 40 kind of sports clubs, and we have a huge number of societies. And I don't know the exact number because there's new societies happening every year. But what we tend to do is have a clubs and societies week where people will take stands and they'll sign people up for those clubs and societies. So that's a great way of meeting people and really kind of engaging. I see a question here. What's the rate of students got a job in tech companies right after finish the program? So again, I wouldn't have a specific percentage on that because we don't measure it to that degree at this stage, but it varies. And I do know that Dublin is like it's a hotbed for tech companies. So a lot of our students would go and work in tech, and you saw some of the testimonials there from TikTok and HubSpot and Google and so on. So a lot of our students would go and work in their first role in a tech company. But again, I wouldn't have particular metrics on that, but it would be quite a few. The language requirements are again listed on the website, but we usually look for an IELTS score, which is usually around 6.5 for business students. And again, that's something that sometimes people are waiting to sit their IELTS or things like that, depending on whether they've studied through English before. And Sarah has popped up a link to those requirements in the chat, which is great. So have a look there. And I would encourage you, you know, that like reach out to us and tell us if you have queries and you're thinking of applying, but there's a reason maybe that you can't finalize an application because of, you know, you're awaiting an IELTS score or something like that. Do let us know, because we can advise you, and in many cases we can make conditional offers to people who might be waiting for documentation. A good question there on cost of living, and again, Sarah's way ahead of me and has put in general and has put up a link there on that. Dublin can be an expensive place to live, so I won't pretend otherwise. But I think that's offset by there is a lot of kind of student accommodation at different fees that you can find. You can live here cheaper if you want, like, you know, there's obviously ways to do that. But I think then when you get your first employment and so on as well, I think the salaries tend to reflect the cost of living as well. So it's something, I suppose, to bear in mind. Also, our fees in TU Dublin tend to be set lower than we've made a strategic choice to set our fee lower than international fees in many of the other universities in Dublin or Ireland indeed. So that obviously makes a difference as well and helps out in terms of the cost of you studying in Ireland. So I hope those answers are helpful. Sarah, Lorraine, I don't know if you want to add to anything I've said there.
I was just about to follow on from the last question. Just the really great thing and strong point for the Angel Street campus is there's so much life around. Like, it's honestly just a fabulous part of the city in terms of part-time jobs and being able to like fit it in your schedule and not stretch yourself too much kind of commuting back and forth. It's just something I've heard back from students that it's kind of, yeah, it's a nice area to be able to get work for. Yeah, coffee shops and things like that. So
it's a really nice area, and I think we do have work placements or kind of internships on some of our postgraduate business programs. That's something we're looking at for more of them, but also because you engage with so many employers through TU Dublin, there's a good opportunity there to build those networks and to look for employment either through your studies or at the end. And Lorraine will tell you, Lorraine is kind of dealing day to day with a lot of our students. She manages a number of our postgraduate programs. A lot of those students work, don't they, Lorraine? A lot of the postgraduate students.
They do, yeah. The vast majority of students would work, and I suppose the big feedback that I often get from students is that the two things I suppose that stand out in terms of TU Dublin versus any other university is the engaging teaching and the experience to kind of work with companies, to take your learning and apply it into practice and build up all that experience, which is really making sure that that our students are ready to make real impact then on their career. And it really makes the learning really exciting. And then secondly is around kind of our, I suppose, our open door policy, our very supportive environment. You really get to know the lecturers and the management team, and there's really great support. So I suppose it's about the experience, and that's the main feedback that I would receive, particularly from international students.
Yeah, thanks, Lorraine. And what I will just put in the chat here, so Sarah has put a link to the international office Instagram and so on. That's great. They've been doing a lot of work on that lately. So when you look at each of our individual programs, so if you're interested in the Masters in Strategic Management, for instance, Lorraine is the program director and her details are on that program page, and similar for the other programs. But if you do have general queries, we do have a general PG business at tudublin.ie, and I'm going to post that email address in there. And if you have just general queries or aren't sure where to go, do reach out to that. Myself and Lorraine look after that, so we make sure that someone gets back to you very quickly. So again, we have a little bit of time. So does anybody have any other questions? Please.
I see there's just a few more questions. If you go back into the questions, they seem to be coming up on the top, whereas you think they'd be the bottom. But
okay.
And they're more related to you guys.
Okay. There's one there on cloud computing, Sarah. I don't know if you want to take that one.
I just saw like an academic question and I was like, yes, I can relax. And yes, we have a lot of computer science programs would be quite popular. So I will pop my email into the chat and feel free to contact me about learning a little bit more about computer science. But this session is more about business.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm looking there about credit transferring from a Turkish university. So again, we just make those assessments on a kind of, the international office look at them and the academics look at them. But yeah, we have had plenty of Turkish students in the past, and we currently do. So again, once you meet the requirements of the program, there shouldn't be any issue there. What is the salary range for newly graduated students? So that's an interesting one. And I was only talking to someone about that, a business about this yesterday. The salaries have gone, the graduate salaries have gone really, really high in Ireland. And it is a war for talent amongst employers in terms of competing to get the best graduates and so on. So that will vary, obviously, depending on whether you're working in a services industry, a tech company, a pharma company, and so on. And those industries have kind of industry norms. But Lorraine, I don't know, not to put you on the spot, you know, again, like if you went into a sales role, you could be on a basic plus packages and benefits and commission. So I don't know the standard, but I know a lot of our graduates are starting on, you know, close to or above 40,000 and so on, you know.
Yeah, and also in terms of with our graduates as well, often what I'm seeing in the last, particularly very recent years, is that their first move is a very quick move to their next move, and their next move they seem to be, you know, jumping very quickly. So, and as you said, you know, it's an employees market now. You know, employers are fighting for graduates. So yeah, I definitely think that it has increased in recent years. So it wouldn't surprise me that some graduates are heading towards 40 at a starting point.
Yeah. Yeah, and as I say, they move on quite quickly. I suppose these days it's really getting into a company, and people then look around and look to see who's offering the best packages and the best type of culture and environment. So people tend to move and have multiple careers now in different sectors, different companies. So it's really interesting. It's really a great time to be a graduate, and that postgraduate qualification really helps you in that market, because it is a competitive space, and it helps you in that market when they see that you've gone and specialized or you've deepened, depending. So if you're a non-business graduate, you've gone now and you have a management or or marketing or entrepreneurship or innovation qualification. Or again, if you're a business graduate and you want to go and deepen within something like strategy or specialize in something like digital marketing and so on, again, you're kind of lining yourself up for, you know, for having a really strong CV. And then you can also go to interviews to say, well, I don't have a huge amount of work experience, but I've worked with all of these companies through these live consultancy projects, and here's a reference from that company about the quality of the work we did, and so on. So okay, so just looking to see if there's any more questions. Again, we have a couple of minutes, so don't be shy if anyone has any questions. Or we might ask our colleague Zeynep or Hazel if is there anything else that we haven't, that you would like us to cover?
I think you covered all of the questions, Colin. Thank you very much for your answers. And also Sarah, thank you very much. And Lorraine, for your contributions.
Okay. Our pleasure. Well, listen, we you know, if people do have follow-up questions, we've put our various email addresses in the chat there, so you can reach out to us and let us know. As I say, Sarah has given an email address. We've given a general PG business email address, and each of the individual program directors for our programs you will find on the individual program pages, and that will have student testimonials and key features of the programs and so on. So do reach out, and we hope this was a useful session for you, and we hope to see you in Dublin next academic year. So have a great day.
Yes, thank you very much again. It was a very informative session for the attendees. And also I would like to thank the participants in Turkish as well. Katıldığınız için teşekkür ederiz arkadaşlar. Umarım sizin için de faydalı bir webinar olmuştur. Technological University Dublin ile ilgili diğer sorularınız için chat kısmında paylaşılmış olan mail adreslerinden Colin, Sarah ve Lorraine'e ulaşabilirsiniz. Bir sonraki webinarlarımızda görüşmek üzere. Thank you very much again, you guys. It was a pleasure to have you in IEFT Talks.
Cheers, Zeynep. Thanks, Mel. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.